What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're working on the Drift-V because we're supposed to be going drifting this weekend. Hopefully this video is us installing the modified knuckles. We'll get there, but we got some things to knock out first. Let me give you a quick rundown here on the Drift-V. So on this thing, all I'm doing is really just waiting for these front knuckles to come in. They should be here tomorrow. We'll get that installed. Back here, I mentioned it before plenty of times, I replaced my brake line on my dual caliper bracket. So now I have one that goes nice and it droops down nice and low towards the lower control arm, clears the sway bar, and I had to put a little extension hardline piece in there because the one I had in there before was longer. Not a big deal. I'm also contemplating thinking about removing my rear sway bar, or just disconnecting it, but that's going to be a move that we're going to try at the track this weekend if we get there, just to see how it feels. Otherwise, please don't mind this little haze in the corner here. The lens cover on my lens is currently cracked, so I gotta get a new lens cover, and I don't trust myself to not have a lens cover. So we got the interior. I still have air mattresses and stuff in here from Englishtown and when we drove back down to Florida. But what we're gonna be doing today to start, before we get into the knuckle stuff, is finally wiring up the sound system in this car and giving Frank a little bump. Now, it's not gonna be like the Bose system that's in the other car, but we did get some indoor, outdoor 100-watt speakers, just some little 4-inch speaker boxes off of Amazon, and we're gonna see what they can do. It's funny because Morgan was saying they look like computer speakers, but they're these little pods, because I don't have anywhere to mount speakers in the car anymore with the cage. So we got these little pods here. They come with mounting brackets, and it's a simple hookup. You know, the head unit I have in the car puts out like 50 watts or something like that. I don't know. Hopefully it's enough just to get some sound. I don't need some crazy bumping sound system. I just need noise in the car, because I feel like when I'm drifting and just like sitting in grid, just having music and hearing something that isn't just my thoughts, really helps me, you know, focus and concentrate and get into the zone, which is, you know, where you like to be. So I got this spool of speaker wire right here. So all I got to do is run it from the back of the head unit, which I'll have to pop all that out, and then I'll run it down each side into the back of the car. So let's take a look at the back of the car. Let's try and figure out where we're going to put these speakers. So I'm going to take a look at the mount, and I'm thinking either using these guys, just something existing in the firewall, basically to mount the brackets to have the speakers facing me, or up on the rear deck. But honestly, like, if I can do like a bolt or something in each of these, that'll be perfect. So let me grab a bracket and we'll see what it looks like. So we got our bracket. It has these slots in it. So will it work? It'll work. All I gotta do is just find some hardware, which I'm sure I have some. We'll be able to mount one here, and we'll be able to mount the other one right here. And then we'll have ourselves some speakers. All right, I had to change my interior lights to white. These things come in clutch, these Govee lights. So I got my head unit out. It's gonna be some of these wires that I need to tap into. So I'm gonna slide, I think, yeah, these are all just power. So I'm gonna slide this guy off and see if we have any markings on the wires. Nah, of course not. So I'm gonna look up the manual, and then we'll have to figure out which wires are which as far as going to the certain speakers, and then we will hook up some leads and run it to the back of the car. So violet with the black stripe is one of the rear speakers. Green with the black stripe is one of the others. Black stripe is the negative. And yeah, so we'll just get these stripped, get some connectors on them, and start running our speaker wire. It has been many years since I've done any kind of audio work in a car. And like, I remember when I used to get like my first car, when I got my first car, you know, when I started driving my dad's truck when I was younger, like sound systems were the thing. Like I wasn't worried about, you know, I mean, we were doing like cone filters and things like that, but we weren't worried as much about coilovers. Coilovers, I feel like weren't even like affordable back then for anyone. But we weren't worried about doing that stuff. We were worried about who can wire in the head unit, who could wire in the lights, who could wire in, you know, the loudest set of subwoofers and things like that. Pioneer this, Pioneer that, Sony this, Sony that, whatever it may be. It's cool though, because like the first head unit that I put into vehicle was the Pioneer head unit that was in my old K5 Blazer, and that head unit is actually still in my 3000. Once we got rid of the Blazer, big regrets, I moved it into the 3000, and it's just cool to have like things like that still around and still working. Honestly, it's one of my favorite head units. No Bluetooth, nothing, aux input, CD player, but it's like one of my favorite head units. And the head unit that still doesn't have Bluetooth actually, that's in my truck right now is very similar to that one, which is just funny enough. But I went with this $30 dual brand head unit. I had a full dual sound system and when I say dual, I don't mean two, I just mean the brand. I had a full dual sound system in my old 91 Camry, and you guys, that was like the high school whip. Subwoofers, amp, speakers, head unit, everything. And honestly, I really liked it. And I had like a Bluetooth head unit before I even had a smartphone. So like, it was like almost useless to me at that point. I used to be able to plug USB flash drives into it. Either way, I'm rambling now, but it's been a while since I've done sound system stuff. This isn't to the extent that I used to do it, but we're still putting head units and speakers and lights in our vehicles. So let me get some wiring ran, and I'll check back in with you guys. This part's not very interesting anyways. All right, so we've got our speakers, or our head units on. I can't play music, so the next clip I'll record a different way. But we got our speakers mounted in here. So I routed the speaker cable. Honestly, I just ran it across the dual caliper line. Since it's a hard line, zip tied them along it, had them tuck underneath here, had them mix in with this harness here, and then they jump across. This guy just goes right to this speaker. The other guy goes to the other side. Now they'll vibrate a little bit, but like they are secure. They got these nice knobs on the side. So like while they'll shake up and down, they should be totally fine sitting there. I mean, I can bump them and they're not moving, and they're on there secure. So there'll be no rattling with the bracket and whatnot. It'll just be just a little bit of movement here. So otherwise, they sound good. I am shocked. I think it's because I'm underpowering them, but they just sound fantastic. I mean, I'm just using the amp that's in that head unit, 50 watts or something like that. And these can handle 100, which I'm sure that's the peak power, not the RMS power. So we have a sound system done. Pretty high. I'm really hype on that. So let's jump into tomorrow. We can get these knuckles put in and hope that everything clears enough that we can go to the track this weekend. If I have time, I'm also going to try and get that Sparco seat in, because I would really like to go to the track with a matching Sparco seat. And if I can get the whole steering angle thing down and then driving down, I really, really want to make a push to get into A group at OSW and E-Town, but I don't drive E-Town nearly as much anymore. So mainly OSW, I really want to try and make a push in 2023 to get bumped up to A group. So I'm hoping this angle stuff goes well and I can get a hang of the chassis quicker. I mean, I start getting a hang of it with stock steering angle at E-Town, and I know it'll be much easier having some cut knuckles on the car. So let's jump into that, and I'm just gonna keep listening to music here and enjoying the fact that this car finally has sound inside. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, guys, so it's Friday. Knuckles just arrived right before the sun went down. So I'm gonna crack these guys open. We're gonna check them out. I'm gonna try and get a coat of Steel It on them before the sun goes down, and then we're gonna get them installed on the car and see how much angle we have on this thing going into the event, hopefully tomorrow. I'm already calling it. This is gonna be one of those nights. One of the late ones where the music is bumping and things are gonna get done. It's an understatement that this box has been through a lot. I shipped Mike this box, as you see it. It literally, like, I don't know how it stayed together with these knuckles bouncing around inside of it. So let's crack her open. All right, so what he said that he did was he cut them, shortened them, just like his car has, and did, I think he said 3 passes with a TIG welder to reconnect them, and they look pretty dang good. So pretty hype on this so far. Ooh, don't want to put it on that. That's a packaged up dual caliper bracket. Drift V guys got a dual caliper bracket sitting right here in stock box, ready to go. We got the caliper hydro, or we got the hydro mounting plates for inside the car also in stock. And we got one set of tow arms sitting here that's fully assembled and ready to go. So jump on it, stansco.jp, get the stuff you need for your V1. We're gonna get this back on the ground. All right, so here we are. We got 2 cut knuckles. So I'm gonna prep these real quick. I'm just gonna get them sprayed. And honestly, just to be quick, I think I might just spray this area that the weld is, because these I prepped and painted them up, and it's just cast aluminum. But I think I'm just going to paint these instead of doing the whole steel it thing, just for the sake of time and for the sake of they are holding up fine as they are. So we'll get them sprayed. I'm going to spray this area with, I keep saying steel it, but check this stuff out, guys. It's the Seymour 316 stainless steel paint. And it basically is the same exact stuff as steel it. It's a little lighter colored, but it's only 11 bucks a can at AutoZone. And as compared to like $35 a can for steel it. It's super durable. If you guys watched the video where I painted the cage in this thing, and this cage has held up pretty well so far, me getting in and out of it a ton. So yeah, that's just that. So Seymour, gonna give it a couple shots. We'll clean it up and we'll check back in here shortly. All right, coming in with a wheel bearing and a knuckle. Gonna rest on top of our lower ball joint. You're gonna get that tightened up. It's a 21, and then you're gonna wanna hold it with a little adjustable wrench action. So we'll take our ratcheting 21. This thing is a godsend. And I keep this one in the ratcheting 18 on hand for this car. We're gonna tighten our adjustable. That's good. Get our 21 on there. And we are just gonna crank it down. And now I'm gonna swing around and put our tie rod through. I think that'll be the next step here. And then we have our upper ball joint. So we'll press our upper up. And just gonna tap it a little bit. To bring our ball joint down into place, and it's pushing grease out of a hole in the boot because I greased the crap out of these things, but now that it's getting a little bit of pressure on it, it's pushing said grease out. That's fine. Keep everything lubed up. So we're good there. And then we're gonna feed our nut and bolt here to get this guy locked in. Give it a couple taps. Now the wheel is straight, and this is how much toe we currently have toe in. All right, so with that nut loosened, I'm just cranking out this tie rod. As you obviously know, these cars have front mounted steering racks. So when you lengthen the tie rod, you're gonna tow the car out. So I had to hit it with a little heat and then use a little bit of a longer wrench. Just get a little more leverage on it. I'm gonna never seize the crap out of this thing when I put it on. I have new inner tie rods for it, but these inner tie rods were in good shape, so I kind of suspect maybe they were replaced not too long ago. But either way, the exposed threads have some rust on them, so we'll get it ironed out. Hopefully we don't run out of length. I think we should be good though. Let's see. We're getting, we're still towed in a pretty good amount. I wish this process was faster. And time to change hands. Huh. Well, this is an issue. We ran out of threads. Okay, so at the moment, I'm stumped. So I threaded it on, and we're towed in a little bit. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do the other side and see if I have the same results, or maybe it's towed out, because maybe I'm just not centered on the rack. I don't really know. So I'm just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna see if it's gonna work or not. But in the meantime, let's do a little angle test, because I have it threaded in a couple times and I'm just kicking stuff. But let's go full left. Yep, we're already past stock angle. Tie rod's gonna hit the coil over there. I imagine the brake caliper is probably gonna hit the lower control arm first, but we'll see. That's a ton of angle. All right, so we have our driver's side here. I have the wheel almost straight. It's towed in. So let's try and set that to where it'll be, looks like towed out a hair. Because you gotta remember we're near the end of our reach on that. It's gonna put my steering wheel there. Not ideal, but let's see where this inner ends up on the passenger side. It's towed in a ton. All right, so solution, I'm gonna see how much I can tow this out, see if I can find a happy medium. If it's like ridiculously towed in, then it's not gonna work. We're not gonna be able to drift tomorrow. If it's not ridiculously towed in, we're gonna have to give it a shot, but let's see. It's kind of a pain because now I'm like kind of stuck. I don't really know what to do. I might have to find some tie rods that will work for the time being, just because I know they're with the angle kit and stuff that's in the works. You know, it'll do, but let's see how far out I can go here spinning this inner tie rod. It's so weird because Mike, who cut these, he has a CTS, and he cut his own knuckles same exact way as mine, and he runs stock tie rods. So I don't really understand how mine is causing me an issue, unless maybe when these inners were replaced at some point in their lives, they ended up with a shorter tie rod. I don't really know. So let's see how far I can unscrew these and see where it puts us. So you can kind of see there, we got a little toe in on this side. Each side is threaded in 3 turns. And we have a little less toe on this side. And let's see, where's the wheel? I feel like if I straighten the wheel completely, this wheel's straight up turned. And let's see where it puts this one. And this one's like towed out a little bit, kind of hard to tell on camera. So, man, this sucks. I'm gonna put the wheels on and again, see where it lands me. I have each tie rod 3 rotations in before hitting the lock. So that should be enough, like 3 threads to grab, I think. But things aren't looking too hot. This sucks because I probably could have got my hands on maybe some inners that would be the correct length, but unfortunately we have to leave at noon tomorrow and it's 6:30. I'm gonna go inside and take a look on the computer and see if I can find something, because I have these new inners that are stock. The thing is, I also have to go rent a tool to get the tie rods out. So I have these brand new inners right here. So I would just have to measure the dimensions of these, which the in is a 16 by 1.5 thread pitch. The outer is a 14 by 1.5, and the total length is about 11 inches. So I need something that's about 12 or 13 inches in this particular situation. So I'm gonna do that first. If I can find something on the computer that I can then cross-reference to the local parts store that I can get my hands on tonight, I'll go rent the parts. I'll rent the tie rod tool, and we'll swap them out for some longer tie rods. So let's hit the computer, get our dimensions, and keep our fingers crossed, because I really want to go drifting tonight, but I feel like everything is just not lining up as it should. So I'm gonna throw the wheels on. I'm gonna go hit the laptop. To my disappointment, wheels are on, towed in. Tried to even them out, we're towed in. So like I said, to the laptop. All right, so I'm on the computer now, and I'm trying to figure out the process here. Usually when I need inner or outer tie rods, you can look up. Moog has a universal lookup. So basically you can put in your specs for your tie rod and it will shoot out everything that matches. So it'll have the part number here. So in this case, I need a M14 by 1.5 outer thread pitch. I need a M16 by 1.5 inner thread pitch. And then what I did is, once it gave me all the results, I sorted it by length, and I'm looking for something along the lines of basically like around the 13-inch mark. So I tried this EV236, and that's 13.06 inches long. And if you go to advanced, AutoZone wasn't giving me anything good. So if you go to advanced, you can just type in the EV236, or if you go to Rock Auto, you can do the same thing. Advanced didn't have it in stock. I'm trying to get my hands on something tonight. So I went with the EV426, which is 13.13 inches long, and I dropped it into Rock Auto. I mean, you can get these things for as cheap as $4 for like the ultra power ones. And then you can go all the way up to Moog, which is 20 bucks a pop. And from there, I dropped it into Advance. So they have the Moog option, which is $34, but it's not in stock. But then they have the DriveWorks option here, and that is in stock at one of the stores in my area. So I could throw 2 of those in my cart, and basically that will give me the longer tie rod that I'm looking for in comparison to what I have now. And it will thread in on both ends. I'll show you the picture. I think I have it here. It's a pretty beefy looking tie rod all the way through. It does narrow down towards the outside, but I don't think that'll be an issue, but I think it'll be worth the shot, you know, trying to go with this. All right, guys, I'm back from the parts store. This is the OEM tie rod that I had on hand, and here's the tie rod that I now have. So this is the 13 point whatever incher, the part number that you saw me order on the computer. I don't know what this tie rod is for. I'll have to look it up. I'll see if I can backtrack the number to figure out the application that it's actually for. But this is what it looks like. Now, I noticed that, you know, it doesn't go into the rack a little bit here, but otherwise this is just about the same from what it looks like. It is thicker though, right here. It gets way beefier than this guy, and then it starts to narrow down to the size of the stock one. So I guess that's a good thing. Less likely to bend. Granted, this area is still the same, but either way, I got the loaner tool. I'm gonna switch these nuts just because this one's got a lot more surface area on it for a wrench. And then we're gonna drop a little Loctite on here. Let's get that out. Do a couple dabs of Loctite, and I don't know, there's this grease here. I don't really know what this is, but maybe I'll put some of that on the outside. I don't know. We'll get these things installed, and then hopefully we can get this thing sorted out and figure it out. So let's pull the wheels off. I got the loaner tool, so here we go. Got right here, we got ourselves the tie rod tool. It's upside down. They thankfully had one in stock. So these guys, probably this one, it like goes over top of the tie rod, and then you got this big piece that comes out that you hook up a breaker bar to, and we'll be able to pop these guys off. I found a friend on the roof. I think he, because of the cold weather, I think he's like just chilling. I don't really know. He doesn't seem to be moving. I hope he's not dying, because that would kind of be a little awkward. His eyes are open. Oh yeah, he's awake. Yeah, I don't know. Just chilling. A little nerve-wracking, but we're able to get this guy out. Oh, all right, we're in. All right, so we're all hooked up here, but I'm faced with another issue. So it appears these are on the slightest of angles, and I'm rubbing on the rotor a tiny, tiny bit. So I'm gonna revisit that at a different point. If I can get the tie rod stuff situated, then I'll deal with that, because that involves pulling the calipers, pulling the rotors again, and honestly at this point I'm probably just going to grind the outer tie rod down a little bit, but cross that bridge when we get to it. I got this thing kind of sitting good enough. We got plenty of thread. I mean, we are like deep into here, so that's good that we have a lot of engagement. And I'm just kind of cranking it in right now. All right, it's a while later now. I'm on the passenger side. I got the inner in and all that, and kind of working on just trying to figure out how to get this outer tie rod to clear the caliper. Same issue on this side with it being welded in. All right, so after my last time grinding it, push the rotor up flat against the face. I don't think we're touching. We seem to be clear. I think I'm gonna shave just a little more off. That rubber boot's gonna disappear over time, whatever. But I'm gonna shave a little more off. And then we're calling it, we're hopping to the other side, and we're shaving that guy down as well. All right, so it is almost midnight. I'm calling a stopping point here. I'm gonna see, once this thing's on the ground, I've been grinding for like almost an hour and a half now, almost 2 hours. Grinding around the base of the front lower control arms to make them clear the brake rotor. I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but I am gonna be running a Heim joint tie rod once the angle kit comes in. So this is just temporary, but I think the inner tie rods that I bought are a hair too long. So unfortunately, the slightly shorter ones that probably would have been good, they didn't have those in stock. So these longer ones are, I think, a hair too long, because when they're fully bottomed out inside the outer tie rod, I have too much toe out in the front. So I think I have it together. I think tomorrow what I'm gonna do is get it on the ground, use the toe plates, figure out what my actual toe out is, the measurement. If it's reasonable, I think I might just run with it. If it's absurdly toed out, which it kind of looks absurdly toed out, if it's absurdly toed out, then I think I am going to then pop the outers back off again, cut a couple threads off of the inner, put it back together, and then get it towed to where I want it to be. The rear of the car, I just need to bleed the handbrake, and then we'll be good there. But basically, I want to call it now just so I can get some sleep tonight, because I want to try and wake up early and get as much done as I can, and that'll kind of gauge how much driving I'm doing tomorrow. OSW, thankfully, they have 2 drivers meetings. They have an earlier one and a one in the middle of the event. Worst comes to worst, if, you know, I am working on this thing tomorrow and I'm getting close, just going to miss that deadline of making the first driver's meeting. There's always a second driver's meeting if I decide to still go and we get to a good point where I feel comfortable, and we'll still get driving time tomorrow night. So I'm going to call it here, and we're going to jump back in tomorrow morning. If you're still watching, shout out to you. Thanks for watching. Really trying so hard to get this thing to the track tomorrow, because it's the last event of 2022, and I don't feel like waiting 2 months to drive again. So fingers crossed. All right, guys, so it is past the time that we had to leave for the drift event, but here we are. Got a little steering angle on the thing now. This is set with a little bit of toe out. Let me straighten the wheel for you so you can see. It actually tracks straight with the wheel straight, but as you can see, we got a little toe out in the front. I am gonna still check it with the toe plates, but I'm gonna tighten everything up. I just did a couple donuts. It felt okay. My power steering pump decided it wants to start making a little bit of noise, but I don't know. So I'm gonna torque the lug nuts. I'm going to wipe it down because it's disgusting. I can barely see out the windshield. Get some things out of it from our road trip home. And tighten up the front lock nuts on the tie rods, and we'll do a little time check once that comes around, because then I gotta hook the trailer up to the truck and get this thing loaded along with the tools and stuff, and be on our way to Orlando. So we shall see.
Many minutes later.
All right, guys, so we went to the track. I didn't film an ending for this video, so I'm actually gonna film it now. I have both cars in the driveway here. and I have the black car with stock steering angle. I have the red car with the cut knuckles. So let me show you the difference between the two. So here we have black car at full lock, like so. And then we have our follow wheel. Then we have the red car at full lock. As you can see, we are getting significantly more steering. And then we have our follow wheel. So I had the car towed out a little bit so that chase wheel isn't gonna be as dramatic as this one, just because of the tow out, it's actually pushing it that way anyways. So here it is. Both cars, one stock, one with a modded knuckle. And they both sound different in their own way. This is the 6-liter car with the Corsa exhaust. And this is the 5.7 car. So that's shorty headers, Summit X-pipe, Corsa mufflers, 6-liter. This is 5.7 liter, long tube headers, Summit X-pipe, and MagnaFlow knockoffs. And then we also have the Summit Stage 4 versus the Texas Speed Torquer V2. So, all right, I'm gonna shut these things off because I'm sure the neighbors are tired of listening to them run. But you can see we have our before and we have our after with the modified knuckles. So we will be doing some tweaking, as you saw earlier in the video. We ran into some issues, but we will be doing some tweaking with them, and basically we're gonna make it work. It's all good, not worried about anything. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make the changes we need to make, and then we'll be good to go. So thanks for watching this video, guys. Thanks for watching through my struggles. The next video is the drift event. I think you guys will be happy with what you see. So subscribe to the channel, drop a comment below. I'll see you guys in the next one.